It's beautiful, Sean.
It's so beautiful. We're going to sing a beautiful song called Sacred Love. Get you all warmed up here this morning. Please feel free to join us. Guitar adjustment.
Here's a magical Christmas July present for you. It's called a Capo in July.
Thank you, Todd.
See what that does then? Let's be playing this We're going to sing My Soul is Welcome Here. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to everyone here, as well as those joining us online, to Unity Spiritual Center, where we are about transforming lives and inspiring people to make a positive difference in the world. My name is Amber McKenzie, and I'm your platform assistant today. If everyone could just take a moment now and silence your cell phones, that would be very, very helpful. And we want to begin our time together by sharing our opening affirmation. I will say it once and then ask you to repeat it with me. There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God the Good. Together? There is only one presence and one power active in my life and in the universe, God the Good. This is Unity's foundation principle. One presence, one power, one life, living through and as each one of us. This morning we will hear the message from Dr. Gary. And then we will be having Dr. Jane lead the meditation, correct? And we are being blessed musically this morning by Sean and Tawny Wright. And, there's more. And Maxine Scranton and Serena Lasoul. Woo! Okay, and now let's all stand and sing our community song.
Everything new, everything Good morning. My name is Dennis, and I've got just a few announcements for you. The first one I wanted to mention, in all those months that have 5 Sundays, we make the 5th Sunday a Linger Longer potluck. So we invite everybody to bring a potluck dish and just hang around, and we'll just have a good time. It's Linger Longer, so it's a nice time to build community and get to know one another. And it's the one day of the month where it's really okay to read everybody's name tags. Second thing I wanted to do was mention that the treats today were brought by college professors, adjuncts, instructors, assistants, associates, just anybody who's taught at a college. So I think we're going to have some nice food out there. And then in the staff meeting last week, Jane mentioned a good idea. She said she had visited someplace and said that they had said, here were the groups for the next 4 weeks. And I thought, well, that's a really good idea. So the next slide tells you the groups. So today we've got the college professors. The following week, next Sunday, it's anybody who's been coming to Unity 20 years or longer. And then that third Sunday, July 29th, we've got that Linger Longer potluck that I just mentioned. And then on August 5th, anybody who's been coming to Unity 2 years or less, well, we'll ask them to bring treats. So that's your spread. The next thing we have, of course, is Gary is teaching the Q process on Saturday, July 21st. And you can see the times there from 8:45 to 4. But we ask that you register today at the bookstore. It's a $50 cost, and I've done this a couple of times, but let me do it again. Take a look around. How many people have attended the Q process? So look around, and anybody who's got their hand up, ask them what they thought, because the reviews seem to be pretty positive. And then the next thing I'll mention is I just talked to David Langweber just before the service, and he said there's still 4 or 5 slots left. And since the song said, I am ready for my next thing to do, this would be it. So please go ahead and sign up, go out after church and sign up for the blood drive. Okay, and then the last thing we have is Jana Stanfield, and the poster up there, which is kind of cool, is a GIF, and if you don't know that term, that means it sort of comes in like a photograph, and you can't really change any of the words on it. Okay, so even though it says it's at Unity, it isn't. So it's actually going to be at Jim and Sally Sledge's place.
Just the Friday.
Right, just for the Friday, right. What we'd like to ask you to do is, if you'd like to go to that, I think there's 20 slots left, please go to the bookstore and sign up for it, because it's at their house and they've got a good sized home, but they need to know how many people are coming. And then in addition to that, Jana is teaching 2 workshops on July 23rd. One is learning to play the guitar in 30 minutes or less. I thought that sounded cool. Sean, how long did it take you, Sean?
30 minutes.
30 minutes. And then the other part of that is the songwriting workshops. So if you want to know a little bit more about combining lyrics and music, that'll be the second half of that workshop. And so, as you can see up there, it's $20 for each session, or $30 to take both of them. So good. Thank you very much.
Okay, so this is the center update. Dr. Gary, an opportunity for me to share a bit about what happens behind the scenes, things that aren't necessarily apparent via our community announcements. So just so you know that there's a lot of new folks who are coming, and so it's from time to time we have to give updates as to what our practice is like, so it makes sense, so there's some context. So this slot that happens every Sunday typically is filled by information that I share that is about the organization, about what's happening behind the scenes, things that aren't necessarily conveyed via our community announcements. Also, this slot is for spiritual life hacks. When you have a transformational story, we want to hear about it. So we have a way in which you can come meet with us and share your story, and we want to set you up for an opportunity to share what's happened, because that's what we need. We need to hear those stories of transformation. There's also a slot here for the Conscious Conversations project. The Evolutionary Council is a group of individuals appointed by our Board of Trustees to interview everyone in the community. And I just wanted to give you an update. This group is in the process now of taking all the interviews. How many of you participated in the interviews? Just most of everybody in our church. And so they're in the process of distilling the themes that have been conveyed, and they will be working to bring that information forth. And so just so you know, that's what's happening behind the scenes. It's going to take us several months to be able to just glean all the information that was shared. But then you'll get a sense of what you shared with those folks, and it'll be reported back. Sorry about those clicks. It's my energetic field, I guess. I don't know. So I want to take this moment, Jane, if you'll come up here. We also want to take this moment to recognize Jenny Arney. Jenny, would you want to come forth? She is our latest community member, and from time to time we take in community members into Unity Spiritual Center. And so this is, she's finally made it back after her journey to wherever journeys take us. She's not lost, she's exploring, as Janice Stanfield would say. Here's your certificate. We just want to honor and welcome you. And we have a way of all of us sharing in that experience.
Yes, so we want to welcome you into the community here at Unity Spiritual Center. We are delighted to have you as part of the family here. And so we want to take a moment and bless you as we join together and give her the blessing of Jenny. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the God self that you are. So let's say that together.
Jenny, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the God self that you are.
Blessings to you.
All right. Thank you. So the last thing I'd just like to share is just a bit about the backstory around Janice Stanfield's visit. So as I mentioned several weeks ago when we first announced her coming, we attended a Spirit Group Summit back at Unity Village when we were gone away for convention. And so Jan and I had the experience of being a part of the summit, and Jana was their music for their summit. And we had known Janet based upon our work in the Unity movements and the New Thought movement for years. She's a popular singer-songwriter for the entire New Thought movement. And so we knew of her and were delighted to have a personal connection. And she sort of came up to me and she said, "Are you the guy who wrote The Eye of the Storm?" And I said, "Yeah, sorry." And so she just proceeded to tell her a story about how that book just rescued her from a tremendous challenge in her life. And while I'm always blessed to receive those stories, it's amazing to think that someone carries with them a memory of how their life's been impacted. So she, after hearing my keynote speech at that summit, which was about the Q process, she said, "I want to take the Q process. Where can I take the Q process?" So that's how she's coming to Unity Spiritual Center. She's going to be a part of the Q process on this coming Saturday. And then she's going to be joining us for Sunday and helping us with Sean and Tanya and the music. They've done stuff together before. And so we're just going to have an awesome weekend next week, and this is just a little taste, and I'll be finished. Just a little taste. Sound.
Crooked road that I have come, I walked a mile with sorrow, I walked a mile with joy, and now I'm less afraid of either one. For every tear I've cried, there's a smile that I have earned. For every mile I walk, there's a lesson I learn. I'm not lost, I am exploring. Life is an adventure worth enjoying, though I may not know where I'm going. exploring. I am not lost, I am exploring.
Hi, it's Jenna Stanfield. You may know that song of mine, or maybe you know, you will do amazing things with a choice each new day brings. We're going to do amazing things together in Spokane. I look forward to seeing you, and I hope you'll come and see me.
So once again, we only have about 20-25 more slots left at the Sledges residence, and so if you are interested in coming, you'll need to register and pay for your space at the bookstore. And if you do not know how to get to his house, you'll need instructions, so we'll need to get your email address so you can be emailed instructions. It's more than just knowing his address, it's knowing the code to get into his neighborhood. Thank you so much.
It's always good to know the code. I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. I send my love over the mountains. I send my love over the sea. I send my love into the heavens, and it returns to me. Sing joy. I send my joy over the mountains. I send my joy over the sea. I send my joy into the heavens, and it returns to me. Send peace, James. I send my peace over the mountains. I send my peace over the sea. I send my peace into the heavens, and it returns to me.
So let's breathe in the beauty of this song as we join together for a time of meditation. I invite you to just sit back into your seat. Close your eyes if that feels comfortable for you, and begin to follow your breath in and out. Don't try to control it. Just follow it. Just observe it. And as you continue to follow the breath, imagine breathing right into your heart. If you want to put your hand on your heart, go ahead and do that as we connect with that healing center within us. And bring into your mind's eye someone or something that you deeply appreciate. Something that can bring forth a feeling of gratitude and appreciation. And as you continue to breathe into the heart, allow that feeling to expand and rise up from within you as it fills your heart, as it warms your heart. as it fills your body with this healing vibration of appreciation. Feel every cell of your body alive, invigorated, vibrating with gratitude. And we breathe into the heart, and we let it expand and radiate beyond the body. And imagine sending it to someone that you love. Feel your heart connection. And we breathe into the heart, and we let it expand and radiate even more as we send it forth to bless our world. We send our love. See it surrounding the earth, bringing healing to all those places where there is pain and suffering and violence. And we know that each one of us is here to be the presence of peace and joy and love and compassion and caring and kindness. So feel that kindness within you being activated and shared with the world as we enter the silence together. I am in the presence of pure being. Say that with me, please. I am in the presence of pure being. Feel yourself saturated in this healing presence. Know that you are spirit in action. You are a thinking center in divine mind, and every single one of us is filled with this healing, loving light of God, here to be an expression of that one presence, one power. And for this we give grateful thanks. In the name of all that is gracious, all that is holy, we say, Amen. So it is.
I send my joy over the mountains. I send my joy over the sea. I send my joy into heavens, and it returns to me. Sing power. I send my power. Oh,
Okie dokie. So last time I spoke was July 1st, 2 weeks ago, and so I'm wanting to re-presence where I left off a bit before I get into today's conversation. So what you see on the screen and what some of you have, if you picked up a bulletin today, you picked up a bulletin and within it is the cue card, a sample, cue card, shadow card. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the cue process, I'm explaining this because this is an element of what, if you haven't experienced the cue process workshop, this is an element of what participants experience. And I'm wanting to talk a little bit more about this today because it's integral to my topic of conversation. So last time I mentioned that all of us, whether or not we're conscious, we possess limiting beliefs. And whenever our limiting beliefs are activated, especially when we're not conscious, our limiting beliefs create a kind of experience. And so if we have a belief in not enough, then what we find as our experience is insufficient. So that sort of thing. And that's something that most of us understand. And at the same time, we also have, I can see that on the Q side of the Q card, Q stands for quantum, that we have identified attributes or innate qualities that when we are expressing these qualities, they're as if they're antidotes to the limiting beliefs that kind of run us when we're not conscious. But you see, we have to become conscious of what runs us when we're not. That's sort of part of the challenge. And then once we're aware that we have a menu of limiting beliefs, we have to have some mechanism by which we're able to observe those patterns and have a real clarity with respect to whenever we, for whatever reason, are being with whatever we're having in the context of some limiting belief, it's going to have a felt sense that it's against us, or it's not quite right. It's something that is still not it. In other words, there's going to be some insufficiency, inadequacy. And so as we become conscious of both who and what we've come here to be and what runs us when we're not conscious, then our effort is, through spiritual practices, to awaken in those moments when we recognize that what's really going on is that we're experiencing the unintended consequence of a limiting belief. And go, oh, that's the problem. I don't have to fix or control what's happening out there. I have to reset the context from which I am making meaning, making my life real to me. And so we did this exercise that I asked y'all to do, and I'm going to play a little clip of that exercise to give you, for those of you who weren't here, a sense of what those of you who were here experienced, and so that we can be on the same page. So just so you know, in the sound booth, we've got a movie coming up next, and let's just get through that. Okay, there's the sound. There's the movie with no sound. Let's try this again. And so you're just going to turn to the person and basically go, I'll just try this out with Amber. Amber, stand up for a second. Okay, so Amber, please have compassion for me when I'm being a disappointment, inadequate, not enough, less than, or a fake, because I've come here to be compassionate, devoted, integral, the one, generous, centered, and awake.
Okay. Please have compassion for me when I am being not enough, a fake, invisible, judging, self-centered, less than, because I have come here to be adventurous, compassionate, the one, resilient, mystical, unstoppable, generous.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay, find two people, do that now in 2 minutes. Go. Just open yourself to the return. Just welcome being quiet again. Just pretend like you're just falling into a state of nonverbal communication. Just feel an increase of melatonin. All right. Thank you for working with this exercise. I just want to say a couple more things about this. But as you can see through this example, that all of us possess limiting beliefs. Now, few of us are conscious of those limiting beliefs, and even more, less than a few of us are intentionally working to integrate those limiting beliefs into the broader context of who and what we come here to be, in the context of our wholeness. Okay, so for those of you who are here, it took some effort to get you all back engaged, and that's sort of natural and normal. But the point being is that we wanted to go through an experience of what it means to really own ourselves. In other words, until we get to a place where we really acknowledge that we have these limiting beliefs, we don't really see that we're creating the life that we have out of the context of what defines us. And so it's incumbent upon us to have a practice. And so we could think of the Q card as our church's membership card, so to speak. In other words, we're in a community that supports each other in our effort to be on our card. And when we inadvertently are on the wrong side of the card, not to judge each other, because we're living in our sense of not enough, or our sense of inadequacy, or our sense of unworthiness, but to have compassion for one another, because it's hard to not be kind of in the experience of separation in our life from time to time. Would you not agree? That it takes effort to kind of be above it all. It takes effort to kind of know that you're bigger than the issues that you have. And absent of a community that understands that effort and understands what the real work is all about, then we become so focused upon having our life be a certain way in order for us to feel okay, when the real issue is who and what we've come here to be, and understanding that we have a choice point. So our Q card is basically a tool that helps us objectify something that is subjective. In other words, something that becomes sort of unconscious to us. And so when we become conscious of our own limiting beliefs and their impact, in other words, how they manifest in our life, then we can do something about it. We can take back our power, because we know that our life is not happening to us, but our life is simply a mirror to how we're being with what's happening in our life. And if what's happening in our life is something less than a sense of abundance, a sense that our life is working, well, then what the real issue is not what we're having, but how we're being with it. And that is a huge thing to be able to acknowledge, because it places us back into the arena of transformation. Because we cannot transform our lives by having our outer experience be a certain way. And so I'm wanting this talk, this is the beginning of a talk. Obviously, we're not going to get over our sense of not enough today. And 15 more minutes is left in this talk. We're not going to possibly overcome that. But the title of my talk is Overcoming my Own Sense of Not Enough, because this is my Q card you're looking at, and it's also, we have a Q card for our entire church. We did this when Jane and I first came. We put the whole church community as an organization in its 103-year history through the Q process, and came up with our own Q card for the organization. And we have not enough as a part of the organization's limiting belief. And so this is not necessarily unique to us as individuals, but organizations have their own limiting beliefs. It's just a phenomenon. But my desire, my need, I don't know about you, but I feel that it's important for us to really integrate our belief that we're not enough, because it's not the truth. And if we look honestly within ourselves and what's going on in the world, we will see that most of the ills that we're experiencing in our society, in our world today, lives in the context of this belief that we're not enough. And if we think about it in the context of our religious tradition, we look at the metaphor, the allegory of the fall from Eden, we can almost see the parallels between when Adam and Eve left the Garden of Eden, they bought into the sense that they were not enough. And that's the original sin. It's not that we took on a sense of shame and guilt. That's a byproduct of believing that we're separate from God. That's not the truth. That's simply the condition that we were born into that sets up the spiritual journey. And so it could be said that our own sense of not enough is almost the germ of awakening, because it festers in us to the point of the ruining of the world until we awaken to the reality that this is just a belief. It's not the truth of us. And if it's not the truth of us, we can access a dimension of our being that transcends it. And wouldn't you like to do that? And so, what if that becomes one of the things that we demonstrate to the world, that that's possible? Because right now, Unity Spiritual Center is going through its own sense of not enough in terms of money. You and I are going through our own sense of not enough also in terms of money, but in all kinds of other ways. I mean, have you ever had someone give you a compliment, told you how great you were, and you just sort of nod your head but couldn't take it all in because of your own sense of not enough? I mean, that's how critical this is, that we rectify this, because until we do, we will always look for completion or fulfillment outside of ourselves, because not enough means it's not in here. Not enough is an emptiness. It is it borders line on a self-loathing. But it includes a dimension of shame, a dimension of a need to push that part of ourself that aspects of our world have pushed away for us. But yet we have to recognize that if that's not the truth of us, and if the greater truth is that we're God-made and sent to this world to be unto it the avenue through which those attributes of being that you've identified, or you will identify when you get in the Q process, until we understand that it is those attributes of being that is the reason we're experiencing our not enough, to bring those attributes forth so we can convince the world that source is not out there. Because when we make the mistake of believing that our source is outside of ourselves, we have to go get more in order to feel better. And that's the epidemic of our society today. That you don't have any inkling as to your well-being unless you have something to prove it. And so long as we continue to look outside of ourselves for that which is implanted within us as our essence, we will continue to feed this energetic field called the story of separation. And it will continue to fester and produce its chaotic effect. And so if we're to unravel, disconnect from this entanglement, we have to enter into a kind of grown-up adult approach to dealing with our own interiors, the own dimension of ourself and the self system that runs us, one word, not conscious. So, the Q process helps you identify these limiting beliefs. It helps you connect the dots between a triggering moment and the uncomfortable feeling and the underlying belief behind it, but it also connects you to the reality that whenever you are triggered, you're also in relationship to the not enough of certain needs in your own life. In other words, you can only be triggered if you're needing a sense of safety and security, a sense of abundance, an experience of self-love or acceptance, a feeling of innate value or worth, or a sense of an empowerment. When you're missing any of those things, you're setting yourself up to have your life experience kind of mirror to you where you're locked in to some definition that you're not enough. And so we have to have a way of understanding that to unravel from this, we have to not only change what we believe about ourselves, but we have to change the neurological circuitry that is replicating that self, that produces that behavior that is tied to the belief that there is emptiness or not enough as our truth. In other words, we have to alter the way in which our brain organizes its attention awareness and frames our reality if we're to have a different experience. And if we're to regenerate pathways that are congruent with the truth that we are this whole and perfect child of God, then we have to have behaviors that train our body to feel the experience of our wholeness. And so, bless you, that's what our work is about. And so, in my discovery of what works for me in terms of being an antidote to my own sense of not enough, and this is something that I finally feel like I'm making a kind of progress in, and that is to arrive at a place of really seeing that regardless of what the not enough attaches itself to, not enough money, not enough time, not enough creativity, or whatever it is, whatever our not enough attaches itself to, we have to understand that the antidote is not to get more. The antidote is to be more. Okay, so there has to be some spiritual practice that refrains from trying to make the effort about fixing what's going on out here. Let's just say that's the first thing we have to stop doing. Stop trying to manage our internal state by trying to have things be a certain way out there. And begin to manage our internal state by working internally with the principles and truth. You see, this card has two purposes. It represents the principle that we have both a sense of who and what we come here to be, and the principle of our own self-imposed limiting beliefs that create our personal reality. But the other side of it is that this card represents a choice point. That when we find ourselves in our own experience of not enough, or any other belief that's on the card. In your sample cue card, you may resonate with some of those words, you may not. But in the cue process, you create your own card. You create what's personal to you. And then the invitation is to be on the lookout for how those limiting beliefs unfold in your life. And then to be in the process of owning your life. Because here's the antidote. This is the antidote to the not enough that this ministry is currently experiencing. This is the answer to the not enough that the entire New Thought movement is experiencing. 9 out of 10 churches in North America are in decline because of not enough. Because of people feeling like they don't have enough. In order to be an antidote against that, and really recognize that our own personal well-being as well as the well-being of our spiritual community are all hinged, are bound together in the same effort. We all have to do the same work, and the work lands on the single principle of ownership. Can you own yourself? Can you own all that you are? Can you own the parts of yourself that live in a place of self-loathing or shame or isolation or guilt? Can you welcome those aspects of yourself home so that they can be restored back into that collective and energetic field that is about what we are here together to co-create? Now, we're never going to get rid of these limiting beliefs in terms of they're always potentially available for us to actualize. But those limiting beliefs gives us compassion when we're lost or others are lost and stuck in theirs. So the antidote to our sense of not enough is twofold. It's to recognize that our own individual sense of not enough is really calling our wholeness forth, but we cannot connect to that greater dimension of ourself until we own the entirety of ourself. And that means we have to take responsibility for what we have created that has been on the wrong side of the card as well. as take credit for what happens in the good works that get done when we're on the correct side of the card. But nonetheless, it means to bring to that part of ourself that is still kind of in some sense of not enough, to bring to that part of ourself what Jane has been trying to teach us all to do, and that is to have compassion. To extend to ourselves the compassion that we'd extend to anyone who is caught in a consensual lie. We've been caught in a consensual lie, believing that separation is the truth, believing that what we're compelled to do is to look out for ourselves, or look out for our tribe, or look out for our party, or look out for our culture, when the reality is that that is the very thing that is going to be our undoing until we connect up to the dimension of ourself that is interdependent, interconnected, and begin to draw upon that energetic field that doesn't want to exclude anything but wants to welcome it all, because it's all an ingredient in the context of our own becoming. You see, the abundant life that Jesus invites us to welcome is we're out of phase with it. We're out of phase with it when we're looking outside of ourselves for some evidence of our worth. It's not going to come. The kingdom of God cometh not through observation, Jesus says. God, I can't believe I'm starting to talk like this. Just don't get me started. Because I have it in me. It's anyway. So I just want to let you know that the folks who are coming to the Q process, you're already coming. This is not to try to get any more people to come, but it is to try to get those of you who've already been through the Q process to recognize you just can't take it as a class like you just say, I'm going to take a vitamin and see if it worked. There has to be a dimension of your whole life that is beginning to practice it as an art, almost as if it's like a martial art. To be capable of being present to what you're having, welcoming it, because it's a reflection of where you still are not in sync with the totality of who and what you've come here to be. And when we know that we're capable of doing that, then what we lack is a community that supports us in that effort. And so my invitation is to those of you who've been through the Q process to consider re-engaging again, but this time for the purpose of actually working with what's on your card. I'm working with not enough. Who's in it with me? Okay. That means we have to start paying attention to how we're creating not enough in our life, and begin to recognize that whenever we have a sense of that being activated in ourselves, just to recognize, oh, that's just a limiting belief that's going on. That's not the truth of me. And so I'm going to own this. I'm going to own the part of me that still wants to make this not enough, because I'm going to reparent that part of myself, because that part of myself got on the wrong track. And I can fix that because I'm the adult here. At least that's the story I'm telling myself. God bless you all. Thank you so much.
Unity stands for peace in the presence of conflict, for love in the presence of hatred, for forgiveness in the presence of injury. Unity honors the many names for God, the many paths to God, for we know there is only one power, one presence, one life. So whoever you are and wherever you are on your journey of transformation, you are welcome here. We would especially like to welcome anyone who is here for the very first time. If this is your first time visiting with us and you feel comfortable raising your hand, our ushers have a gift packet for you. Is anyone here for the first time? On the outside of that packet that you're receiving, there is a form you can fill out to be added to our mailing list for our weekly e-news update and quarterly newsletter. If you are interested, please fill it in and drop it in the love offering bag as it comes around instead of feeling obligated to give a donation. Also, after the service, you can take this packet to the barista stand and get a free beverage of your choice. And you can also take it to our bookstore and get a CD of today's Sunday Talk. We are so happy that you are here. Welcome. Okay? Now it is time to welcome and greet each other with a handshake, a hug, a high five, a wave, a namaste, whatever works for you. And we begin with our welcome song.
All right, we'll stand up everybody. We're going to sing Gathering in Song.
All right. Let's all come back together, shall we? It's time for us to celebrate our abundance together. And this morning, during my meditation time, I got this question that came to me that said, what am I giving to the world? What am I giving to the world? Am I giving anger? Am I giving scorn? Yes. Doug Gladwig today came up to me and handed me 3 small rectangular sponges, yellow, blue, and pink. And I said, oh, these are lovely. What are they? He said, these are for you to throw at the television. So for those of you who may not have been here, when I was gone, Gary told on me that I get so angry at what I see on the television that I want to throw something. So now I have what I need. And I said to him, well, I'm actually trying to curb the desire to do it, but this will be a nice sort of in-between thing. But that's what came to me. What am I giving to the world? Am I giving my anger? Am I giving, my... scorn is the word that keeps coming to me when I'm looking at that television. And my judgment. And is that what I want to create more of in my life? What am I giving, and is it coming back to me? Well, and so I just wanted to bring that up now, because this is a very poignant time in our service where we are giving. And we want to give from a place of gratitude and from a place of generosity and not obligation or whatever it is. And so I want to invite all of us to really sink into that feeling right now of generosity and compassion, knowing that what we're giving is being multiplied. And we're sending this out to the world. So let's take a moment and really feel that gratitude in our hearts. Let that gratitude grow and expand as we hold our love offerings in our hands. And I'll invite you to say with me the prosperity blessing. I know that my giving blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give and receive. I give thanks for the abundance that is mine to share. And so it is.
Hello? Hello?
That was so awesome. That was super fun. Love it. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sweet Spirit, for the abundance and generosity of these gifts. We are so blessed as we send them forth into the world, and we know that we are enough and we have enough. Thank you, God. Okay, so we want to thank. So every week we give thanks to an organization that we serve, and this week we are saying thank you to Crosswalk. So I didn't know very much about them, and so I asked Diane, and she gave me some information. So Crosswalk is an organization that is dedicated to serving homeless teens in our area with food, shelter, school. And what Diane said that really resonated with me is that the organization is really dedicated to letting the teens know that they matter in the world and that they have value, which maybe this is the first time that they've ever experienced that. And so it's a powerful organization, and we have a group of people here at Unity that serve once a month. And so if you are part of the Crosswalk team, could you please stand to be acknowledged? Anyone part of Crosswalk? Please stand up. And if you're interested in serving with Crosswalk, talk to Dennis. Is that right? Because I'm kind of... Oh, talk to Diane if you're interested, because I'm interested now after learning about it.
I want to say something.
Yes, please.
Several years ago, we started doing a barbecue down there. And it blew my mind to think that for some of these kids, that was the first time that somebody cooked a hamburger that was just meant for them. It was not something from a fast food restaurant. They could have 3 burger patties on it they wanted, and they never had had that in their life. But that was
Makes me cry a little bit. Okay, I know. Ocean's crying too. We're both crying. So our chaplains today are Murphy and Ocean. Come on up, ladies. And one of the chaplains has been holding the entire service in prayer, which we do every service. So if you have anything that is heavy on your heart or that you would like to celebrate, you can pray with one of our chaplains, Ocean or Murphy, and they will hold it in prayer with you. So they will both be at the front of the sanctuary right after the service. So please come see them. Thank you both. You're awesome. Okay, you can also fill in a prayer request form, which you can find in the seat pocket in front of you, and put it in one of our prayer boxes here at the behind me or in the foyer. And our prayer team will pray for you for 7 days, and then the prayers will be sent to Silent Unity to be prayed over for 30 days. And then if you know of someone who is in the hospital and has requested a visit from one of our chaplains, you can also fill in the visitation request, which is also found in that seat pocket in front of you. And then please place that in one of the prayer boxes as well. Okay, so now it's time to welcome our children. Is everyone here? Hi, kids. Awesome. We are so grateful for all of our young people here at Unity Spiritual Center. They are amazing. So let's take a moment to bless our children, youth, and those in service to our youth ministry. Be the love you are. Sing the song you hear. Share your joy of life with the people far and near. And for ourselves, be the love we are. Sing the song we hear. Share our joy of life with the people far and near. Thanks, you guys. Now you can go back to your people, your peeps. Perfect. Now, please stand as you are able and join together for a closing prayer, followed by the peace song. The light of God surrounds us.
The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And that's the truth. Do the cue.